You prepare before me a table in the presence of my enemies. So there we were in Tiberias, Israel. We were on a bus and we're parked on the streets, and half the tour had kind of gone out to the money changers. There's still money changers in Israel. And half were sitting on the bus. I was sitting on the bus, and one of the young disciples of mine, he's a little adventuresome, and he's looking out the window of the bus, and he sees this really spiky looking tree. It's a very funky looking tree. It's got spikes on it, and that's interesting to him. And then he looks up, and this fruit is also very odd. And so, up for a little adventure, he goes down off the bus, goes across the street. I'm watching this. He climbs the tree, picks the fruit, and comes down. He's coming back to the bus, and he's trying to kind of work this thing to get this open, and he can't. He can't break the skin. So he pulls off his knife, which he's always has on, which we had a time with security about that, but that's another story. And then he's trying to get this stuff, and that's when the bus driver, an Arabic fella who didn't speak much English, bounced out of his chair, down the bus stairs, up through the door, runs out going, no, 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 no. And he's doing this on his jugular brain. And he says very slowly, poison, poison. Wow. Young sheep will just about eat anything. Lots of times, stuff that's not good for them. But a good shepherd knows what's good for the sheep. And he will go and apparently even prepare before the sheep good food, a table. Now, what I understand as well, that when you go up onto higher ground, that's called tablelands. The tablelands. I wonder if David had this in mind. It's also called the mesas or the plateau. Like you go up into the tableland and there's some good food up there. Good food. And so I wonder if he's thinking that maybe the good shepherd has gone before him to prepare the table, because shepherds would do that. They would go up into the tablelands ahead of time and prepare a place for the sheep to go to. Now, up in those high places, there's also predators on the ridges looking down and watching this whole thing. And so the shepherd has to be very aware of that. Now he's got his rod and he's got his staff and he's there, but he's got to be very aware of the predators. When I was a journalist, I went on a cougar collaring hunt in the Chilcotin with a 22-year-old biologist from the Ministry of Environment, and they were trying to track the predatory habits of these cougars on the bighorn sheep. And this biologist, he told me one night, he says, man, I have come across the heads of these big old rams, the smart ones, the ones that look out for the flock that they're the big rams. And I've come across their heads, and they still have their tuft of grass in the mouth, that they were eating the grass when the cougar attacked. These cougars were so stealth. They would just sneak up and then boom. And I think our enemy as well can be just like that, lure us in and then pounce on us, or just when we're not being aware and we're going to grab something that's poison, or we're going to go do something that's just going to get us into trouble, and bang, he pounces on us. And then knowing the enemy, he also says, once you sin, he causes you to sin, he tempts you, and then he gets you to sin. And then the next thing you know, he's like, oh, and you call yourself a Christian. That's what the enemy does. Here, want to buy a watch? You buy the watch, and then it's like, call yourself a Christian. That's the way he works. Our enemy's like that. So a table, by the way, in the Middle East is an amazing gesture of hospitality and compassion and loving kindness. I mean, if you've ever been to a sit-down restaurant in Israel with us, you'll know, whether it's Arabic or Jew, hospitality is huge there. They take care of you, and they keep bringing you food, and they're looking after you. I mean, and you think, God sets before me a table in the presence of my enemies. I mean, the good shepherd knows where the enemies are. He knows the timing of everything, and he's got you. So sometimes he comes in the presence of our enemies, and he's so confident. He's so confident in himself. And we're like thinking, man, it's kind of scary in here, God. I don't know if we should be here. I don't know if we should be here. And he's like, no, we're fine. What do you want on your pizza? He's just thinking about food. The enemy's nothing to him. He's got this. In other words, he's saying, what are you so afraid of? I've got this. Do you remember when Jesus was in the storm, sleeping on the back cushion? The guys are just rowing like crazy, and they're freaking out, and they're like, Jesus! And they wake him up. What? You're going to let us drown? What? You're going to die out here. And what does Jesus ask them? He asks them, why are you so afraid? Not even why are you afraid, but why are you so afraid? So afraid. I mean, fear happens, scary things happen, but why are you so afraid? Don't you know who you've got in your boat? I mean, we are all in this. We are all in this boat together in the whole world right now, COVID-19. We're all in the same boat. But you know who we got in the boat? We've got the miraculous, powerful Savior of the universe, the strong Son of God. Jesus is in our boat. And like that old song says, with Jesus in the boat, I can smile at the storm. He's got us. He's the good shepherd of our souls. He's the good shepherd he's gonna tell us what's good to eat and what's not good to eat. Don't be hopping off the bus and going looking for some fruit that you know nothing of, like some bad fruit. Don't be biting into poison. There's a lot of poison out there right now. Stay in the hands of the shepherd. Stay close. Draw close to the good shepherd of your soul.